Okay, I'm going to try this video for it seems like the 400th time. I keep making mistakes and with the recording software and with the SQL. So let's see if I can get it right this time. What we're going to look at this time is we're going to look at the union and the intersect commands that allow you to create separate query sets record sets and compare to see which records are in the return set. So what you'll do in these examples is we're going to do two separate queries. SQL will store the results in temporary tables behind the scenes and then evaluate them depending on whether we use union or intersect. If we use union, what SQL will do is to prepare the final output using any of the records that were returned in either table or both tables at the same time, whereas intersect is much more restrictive and will only return records if the record appears in both of the temporary record sets. So let's get started and you'll see how it works. I'm going to run the same query using union and then the same one using intersect, and so you should see the results. So what we have to do is we have to set up two separate queries that are separated by the union or the intersect. So I'm going to go ahead and do a select statement. Let me turn the caps lock on so you can see it a little better. Last name, first name, and state. Since I'm only going to use one table here, I don't have to qualify those table names. I'm just going to select the fields from the owner table, and I'm going to grab states that are equal to FL. So all of the users that are going to be that live in Florida right now will be retrieved and stored temporarily in our first record set. Then we'll union that with our second query, and this one I am going to use a join on, so we'll go ahead and select, and I'm going to use an alias for my tables, o.lastname, o.firstname, and o.state. Now one thing when you're using queries or union or intersect or minus, what you need to do is you need to make sure that these record sets can be compared, and so you have to prepare them for a union or an intersect, making sure that they're retrieving the same field so it can compare them. So we're going to select those from owner O and condo unit U, and then we need to do our join. So we're going to say where the owner num from the owner table is equal to the owner num in the condo unit table. And we're also going to say where the fees that they're paying are over 400. So what's going to happen when we run this query is this record set will be created and all of the users that live in the state Florida will be in one record set. Then the second record set will be executed, and it'll retrieve this data from our tables, and it'll retrieve username or last name, first name, and state of owners who are paying condo fees greater than 100, and that's determined by joining the owner table to the unit table. Once those two record sets exist, the union will come in and it'll say if a result is in this table or both tables at the same time, then it will display it in our final output, and it will remove duplicates as needed. So let's go ahead and see if I did this without any errors. We did. Notice we have all of our expected suspects, like everybody who lives in Florida is already going to show up in this list. But we noticed that Bill Anderson and Jack Blake show up even though they don't live in Florida. And so what we could do is we could look in the book just to take a peek at the data. Let me grab it. And we can look up the fact that Bill Anderson, whose user number is AN175, is tied to a condo fee of $625. And so that's why he ended up on this list. The union grabbed from the first set and the second set. If we use an intersect here instead, we can leave the queries alone, intersect. We can leave these queries alone and just see what effect the intersect has. Now for this to happen, it's going to run this query. It's going to run this query, and for it to be in the final output of the intersect, the records have to be in both tables. So we should see our folks that aren't from Florida disappear from our record set. So let's run that. And you can see we have a much smaller record set. They are all in Florida, but not everybody who's in Florida is in here because some of them don't have the condo fees greater than 100. And so minus just does it where it appears in one table but doesn't appear in the other. Not used as often either. So again, use them from time to time. The more experience you get, you'll be able to figure out, is this maybe going to save you some time or not. But that's it for this chapter, and in the next chapter we will move on to some administration issues.